Welcome back to Talent Time. I'm Sharon Z, also known as Sharon Z, and I promised today a very special, interesting guest. I have with me Thomas D'Agostino, and welcome, Thomas.
Thank you, welcome.
Can I call you Thomas or Tom?
Tom's fine,
Okay,
yeah.
Tom.
It's great to be here.
Tom has sparked my interest. You sparked my interest because I am so interested in hauntings. And you are known for all of the hauntings of, let's see, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire.
New England, yeah.
New England.
Basically New England.
I guess it's New England, right.
Yeah.
And that is something unusual to me, and you're the only person I've ever met who does
really?
this. Yes.
Oh,
My
cool.
father, he loved cemeteries, and he was always very interested. But today I want to find out about you. What is it? Tell me just a little bit about you. Maybe where you grew up, how you, where you came to be in this place.
Well, actually I grew up in Smithfield, Rhode Island, and part of 9 kids. And basically, I got into this when I was real small. Like, I mean, as far as people can remember, 2, 3 years old. And in elementary school, I would be the one to get up on Halloween and tell the ghost stories. So I was always into this. And I started, doing the old legend tripping. And growing up in like Smithfield or Greenville, it was woods.
Right.
So it was a lot of, ripe for a lot of different cool stories. But it wasn't until like I was about 22 years old, I lived in a house while I was in college. My friend had bought it and he let me stay there. He said, you can stay the winter while, we'll get it fixed up. And I lasted 6 days. That's how haunted this place was.
Oh my God.
And I finally had to leave because I was studying for college. I couldn't sleep. I needed to get some sleep. And that's when I started studying all the esoterical sciences, the physical sciences, social sciences, and everything to kind of attack this from every angle possible. What is going on? It's not just dead guys walking around.
Interesting. So what did you actually go to college for?
I went to college for political science, business management, and music.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But I studied all those other things anyway, 'cause
It's interesting that you decided to attack this, as you said, from all these different angles, yet you were scared to death.
At first, yeah. A couple of times, yeah, I was when I was younger, but then I became the fool who runs toward the danger.
What kind of person does that? I have never met somebody that does that.
I don't know, one like me, nuts? No.
No.
Actually, someone who's daring and wanting to find the truth. It is a science. It is something, a piece of a puzzle that's missing in our whole existence that we're still trying to figure out. And so anything we can find is always, it's not only a challenge, but it's actually exciting to be able to go into a place and say, that never happened to me before. This is awesome. And then put that piece of the puzzle in, or talk to people who know these, had unique circumstances.
How in the world, I mean, aside from you staying in that house, getting scared and deciding to go after it, how do you know when a house is haunted? How do you know? I mean, does somebody call you and say, can you please come and check something? Things don't seem right here. Yeah,
we always do that. We get calls all the time. We do a lot of investigations. But I also, at the same time, when we go into a place, let's say we say, yeah, let's go and check it out. I was also worked as a contractor for years through college and working on homes, and we work on our own house even. And so I go into there, I like to go in there, like I don't go in as a skeptic, as they say, and I don't go in as a believer. I go in with an empty head, which is easy for me. So we go in looking for whatever it is from any angle. So a lot of times we've come into a house and we've heard the noises and we go, oh my God, you got like a loose beam down in the cellar.
Right.
And they're like, oh, what? And then sure enough, contractor come in and go, oh God, your cell's about to fall. Because, things like that, because I know different sounds and houses settling, people freak out. And then you get a coincidence of different things that are explainable. Oh. But in a succession, they may make somebody scared.
Right.
We found keys walled up in a wall. We found things like that, all kinds of weird
old
stuff.
Homes or
a lot of old houses. Yeah. So
do you have the belief that if a dwelling, a home, a building is built on some kind of a burial ground, that it has spirits, or
not necessarily? I came up with an idea a long time ago, and this happened when I lived in Johnston, Rhode Island,
Right.
that we have pressure zones all over, weather pressure zones. And you can see that where you get areas that get more with hurricanes, and then some areas are tornado zones, and ours, New England, is just everything zone. And but we were living there, and we used to get CB radio signals on my
right.
guitar amplifier from North Attleboro, which is a ways away. And also, it used to thunder, lightning, rain. I mean, all kinds of havoc around us, but not where we were.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like.
So these pressure zones, why can't they be the size of this table? And then they could
Interesting.
hold this energy. You know, sure, it could happen like you said, a burial ground, and residual energy is hanging there, and that could be one reason too.
Right. Almost like you're a vehicle for sound, for, like you said, pressure, but a vehicle for, I don't know, spirits, people, places, coincidences, something, you're open to it.
Yeah.
Different than someone like me who, I would be open to it if I knew anything about it, if I'd experienced it the way you did. But you researched it.
Yeah, plus I've done over 1,200 investigations now in 33 years, so it's like a good doctor or a lawyer. You know, you go into this doctor's office and the guy goes, oh, you know, you just sniffle once, oh, you got this, blah, 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 boom. And
Right.
right on. And that's only because he's experienced it so much, and he's into it too. You got to be into it, you know. Lou Gehrig was a terrible lawyer, but a great baseball player.
I didn't even know he was a lawyer.
Yeah, well, that's why.
Tell me. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But so that's, you know, that's the thing. We all have, we have an aura, and we have an electrical, you know, impulse within us. And one of the things that I found is when your aura matches a room or an area, you're going to feel it. You're going to be more receptive. If there's a person you meet somewhere and your aura is kind of like in the same tune as theirs, you get on liking them right away. You're like, oh, I like that person. It's cool.
Is that what that is? Well, you, the old soul,
Yeah,
the thing that I can tell, and I think I can tell, maybe not, but or when
everybody
you,
is, Ken. Everyone's psychic to a point.
Isn't that amazing? That is fascinating. Do you work with your wife? Did I read
Yes,
that you work with your
my
wife?
wife Arlene and I, yep. We're a team. And she's been through a lot with me.
Right. How long have you been married?
We've actually known each other 30 years, but we've been married 14.
That's a long time.
And but we've been best friends for 30 years. So, you know, and she used to come back when we were just friends. She used to come out with me to these places and things. And
Just out of interest?
yeah, just
Out of
interest.
curiosity?
Yep.
So this wasn't her, I'm going to call it specialty, her, she didn't get frightened and then find out that she needed to find out about it.
No, because I always used to tell her anyway. So she already, anything I learned, I'd be, you know, belting out to her, so and telling her, so she didn't have to go and research. I did it all.
Do you use special instrumentation? And I know I've watched several movies. Movies, and they come in with instrumentation to capture different, what are they, spirits or shading or something, or lighting or noise?
Yeah, we use shotgun and hydrochloric acid.
Okay,
No.
English. Okay.
Well, I've always been a little old school because knowing the fact that you know, when you have these machines that do all kinds of lighting and bleeps and blaps and blurps and all that, I mean, you have a zillion radio frequencies and all kinds of radio waves and things like that in the atmosphere. Somebody could be next door turning this channel and that light thing could be going off like crazy.
So it interferes.
Yeah, so because there's so much interference this day because there's so many frequencies. So we do use those, like EMF meters. I'll use them to check the electricity in the houses. We've only twice though, the EMF meter has actually acted in a way that was not normal, but what you would say paranormal with us. And I got one on tape and I got one on a recorder. But we use regular voice recorders, both digital and tape. We use the cameras because, man, nothing beats physical evidence.
Right.
We use a compass too sometimes because EMF meters, again, are so prone to stray frequencies of anything. Someone could be using their microwave on the first floor, and you're on the second floor and the thing's going mental.
I know. I don't have enough voltage in my where I live, and I'm blowing fuses left and right, unless, of course, I have a spirit.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See?
Which I don't know.
If you're going to use a microwave, maybe they want to eat and they're just ramping it up for you.
Actually, no, it's my coffee pot that always blows the fuses.
No, you get a caffeine spirit then.
That's it. That's it. Now,
No, we also use old school stuff like dowsing rods.
oh,
Yeah, Arlene's a tarot card reader. She's very gifted, and we use them to field questions. And you'd be surprised how many times these questions actually have had answers in the form of electronic voice phenomenon.
really?
And, yeah, so we don't go in with all these massive things. We do use cameras though, obviously, because if something's going to float across the room.
Have you seen that?
We actually have seen many apparitions. That's why I have no doubt in my life that these things exist, whether it's residual, which is the earth being magnetic, tapes a moment in time and replays it, which is not really a haunting,
Right.
to an intelligent form of energy that can interact with you.
How is it that you see it and I don't? I mean, I know that I live in a place that is fairly new. And I know that I sound nuts, not to you, but to me, because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll be in my bedroom and I'll hear a door shut and I'll think, hello, someone there? And of course, no answer. And this has happened but more than once.
Well, your home might be new, but the land is very old.
Of course, that's Plymouth.
Yeah, we were doing an investigation where it was all new houses, and this one lady, she had things going on in her house, which was about 6 years old, and this was only like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, and I don't understand it, and this is happening, and that's happening, and this happening. The house is only 6 years old, so I'm looking around. I said, well, let me ask that elderly lady over there. She's in a very old house, and she goes, oh yeah, I forgot the name of the guy's farm, and she goes, he was out there, he was 86 years old, he was still working the day he died, right where that house was built. I'm like, well, that answered a whole pile of questions.
Oh my goodness. Well, now I noticed that we have a lot of books, and your first book was the Rhode Island Hauntings?
Yeah, Haunted Rhode Island.
Haunted Rhode Island. I find this amazing. Can you tell me what prompted you to write this?
Ah, yes. I was in bands. I'm a musician. And every time I'd play out, people who knew that I loved, ghost hunting, chase, whatever you want to call it, legend tripping, they'd say, where's a good place to go? Where's a good place to go? So here I am scribbling stuff on a napkin,
Oh.
and to try and give directions and everything. Finally I said, you know what? I'm going to write a book and tell them where to go.
That's a great
In
idea.
a good sense, of course. so I wrote a book,
Right.
and it was the most horrible thing I ever wrote and read. It was like the worst manuscript you could imagine, and I kept it. And I decided to rewrite
Right.
more different places. And when Schiffer took interest in it, they didn't really have many of these. They had like one haunted book. So they said, we'll try it and see what happens. And I had to rewrite the whole book, and my wife and I visited all the places. We do visit the places, we investigate the places, we talk to people. I just don't sit at a computer and look up something online and go, oh, let me cut and paste that.
So you totally researched this
Oh yeah, we
face
go to the
face.
places. That's why we can have so many photographs, because Arlene is also a professional photographer.
Oh, you have got this made.
Yeah, so
I mean, brains.
that's her, yep.
Well, brains, talent with the tarot. You who have this seem to be what is it, a receptacle? What is it called?
Yeah, we just kind of into it so much that I guess we attract them.
You live it.
Yeah.
You live it. You eat, you breathe, and you're a musician too, which I'm sorry, but I really do believe, as a musician, I think that gives us sort of a more alive spirit. We have to be more aware.
Creative edge,
Yeah,
so therefore
creative
you're
edge,
thinking a
yeah.
little bit out of the box.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
There's nothing at all about what you do that's normal. I'm sorry. I think
That's what everyone says.
yeah, I've never met somebody who investigates paranormal. I mean, the closest I've gotten is a detective, a police detective, or
okay.
a private investigator, or.
Oh, 15, 20 years ago, people would call me a whack job. What are you, a nut? You crazy? What are you? You should be in insane asylums and all this stuff, And now it's like, wow, you do that, because it just became more accepted.
Right.
But we went to the places, and I started writing, and I started looking up all the places I possibly could. And of course, you ask somebody about this place, they say, well, I know this place and this place too. And so, oh, good, we'll check those out. And there were a lot of places we went to that had cool stuff, and a lot of places that didn't. And a lot of places said, I don't want to talk about it. It's not haunted, and then they, kind of hang up on you.
Right.
So we got a lot of that too. And but we ended up with 89 places in there that of haunts
Rhode
and
Island?
legends. Yeah, in Rhode Island.
Do you find that people are more open to it now?
Oh wow.
Yeah. Whereas when you started, as you said, 15 years ago, you were a whack job.
Oh yeah. Even writing this book back in 2005 and 2006, a lot of people didn't want to hear it because it was just coming to the forefront. again, I call it the second spiritualist movement, because the first one was from about 1845 or so.
Oh,
18
right.
to
I understand.
1920. And this is the second spiritualist movement for our country. And it's a good thing, though, because it puts people into an awakening idea of something that exists and is there, but a lot of people are afraid to talk about.
Wow. Have you ever had an encounter with a unhappy spirit? Somebody
Yeah.
that's basically said to you, you know what? Get out.
Actually,
I don't want
have
you here.
a
I'm not leaving.
I have a recording from the John York House where I say, can you tell me who built this place? And it says, get out, right on the recording. And we don't hear this because it's electronic voice phenomenon, and we process things acoustically. But I also got hit in the face in the Tortilla Flats in Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Oh my God.
I was coming out of the bathroom, and it's a little hallway. And I'm coming out of the door, and the door, of course, it's got to be able to swing open freely. It's a restaurant. All of a sudden, it was like a football player just bang, gave the door a running block, pins me between the door. Now I can see outside the door. There's no one on this side, and I'm trying to pull the door open.
Oh my.
And I'm reaching. I've got the handle over here, and I'm trying to pull the door open. It's not going anywhere. No one's on this side of it. No one's on that side. And all of a sudden, it just goes. Pops
Did
open.
anybody else see that?
No, because I was coming out of the bathroom, and I did it about 5 or 6 seconds. And I come back to the table, and my wife goes, "What happened to you?" My face was cut open from it. And we were sitting right under where the guy who haunts the place hanged himself back after the Revolutionary War.
Oh my
So I guess he didn't
goodness.
want any more questions.
Yeah, I guess that would pretty much prove that there's something going on there.
My wife's been picked up before. There was 4 of us investigating an abandoned building, and we would just get to the building, walking up like almost near the door, and all of a sudden she's about 3 feet taller than all of us, floating in the air.
How come this has never happened to me?
I don't know, like, you don't go into abandoned buildings and talk about people who hang themselves.
No, do you call upon them, or you're just open to
well,
it?
no, that time, no, both. One was for Haunted New Hampshire, and the other we were just doing an investigation. When we do these private investigations, we don't. First of all, I don't go on like any media and say we're doing an investigation tonight. It's like between whoever we're doing it with and us, and that's it forever, unless they want to talk about it. And this one, it was a private investigation. And when she fell, she said it felt like just 2 ice cold icicles grab her and pick her up. And the other investigators, they ran. They were going. We actually finished the investigation ourselves.
Oh my gosh! Tell me, you've written so many books here. They're all just, what is it, 11 in total?
11 books, yes.
I am astounded. Have you made any movies, or has there been anything made about them?
And yeah, in Haunted Rhode Island, there was 2 documentaries done for Rhode Island PBS, and there was a documentary for WGBH called "Things That Go Bump in the Night: Tales of Haunted New England," which bases 3 or 4 books.
I saw that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I think so. Now, does your wife work for one of these?
She works for GBH, yeah, but at the time it was kind of funny because she did work there, but she didn't know it was film going on, and the people who were doing it was WGBY from the west end of Massachusetts, don't know her.
Oh, right.
And I didn't say anything till after all the filming was done. And I said, my wife works for GBH. And they're like, really? Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So nobody knew it was happening. I just kind of.
This is an interesting one.
Oh, yeah.
A history of vampires in New England. Tell me, this is different than all the rest, in my opinion. I mean, I'm
Yes.
looking at Haunted Vermont,
Right.
Abandoned Villages, a guide to Haunted New England, which, by the way, anybody can get online, or?
You can actually go to my website and get them. You can get them on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and lots of small bookstores, yes.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So I'll tell them that your email is. Tell me your email.
My email is actually ramtail@att.net.
What's the Ramtail stand for?
Ramtail Factory is Rhode Island's officially haunted site. In the 1885 state census, Amos Perry put it as Foster, Rhode Island. And as you look at all the mills, and it'll say, this mill, that mill, and it says Ramtail Factory, haunted, right right on page 36 at the top of the page.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I wrote a book on it. See, that's this book right here, because there's a lot of strange things that go on with the history of the factory and why it's haunted and the characters involved. But the vampire book, for over 100 years, scores of New England families were digging up their loved ones and searching for a vampire among them. They were dying of consumption, which is tuberculosis, and they did not believe that it was, they thought it was hereditary, okay? And so what would happen is one would get sick, and they'd look gaunt and pale, and they're coughing up blood, and then they'd die, and they'd bury him, and the next thing you know, the family, boom, 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 they're getting sick one by one, and they're delirious, and so people began to, and the doctors couldn't do anything at the time, so people began to turn to folklore, to make a long story short, and they started looking for vampires in the family. And what they do is they dig up the people who, the family members, and if they found one they thought was a vampire, they'd perform an exorcism.
Like the exorcisms we know of, such as in The Exorcist?
Oh no, this was even better. Are you kidding?
First, I've got a question though.
Yeah.
Are vampires really people with the fangs that suck your blood, that come out at night, or is that just a tale?
That was a tale, according in this.
Okay, okay.
This is totally different because they called them spectral ghouls. They didn't believe the body rose out of the grave. They thought the spirit of the deceased came out of the grave, sucked the life force out of a family member, then went back into the grave to nourish the rotting corpse.
And then did they dig up the corpse and find out?
Then they dig up the corpse and they would cut out the heart, liver, lungs, burn it to ashes, and then, this is the best part, they would feed the ashes to the sick.
Did it help?
Well, in one case documented, it did help.
Only one?
That person lived to be 280 years old. No. Well, some people, because tuberculosis, you would just get cured anyway. It wasn't always a death sentence. But it happened from 1784 to 1892. And I have news, in that book, there's newspaper clippings and documentaries and town records and town council records and all kinds of stuff that document this stuff happening.
Tell me something. It's fascinating that you even came across that. Is there somebody in your family that had this gift, this talent? Because I know that I think there might be something with me, but people that know who's calling before the phone, you pick up the phone. I mean, what is that, an enlightened person?
Like a sixth sense or something, yeah.
That would actually be me at times.
I guess, I don't know.
Or bill collectors.
My mother used to tell me that. My mother used to tell me that I used to tell her things that she used to do when she was a kid. She always used to freak out over it.
Okay, what does that mean? How does that happen? How do you know?
I don't know.
It just was?
Know. Yeah, maybe it's just genetic. Maybe it's just a genetic thing.
Kind of like
when
high blood pressure?
When you're born, you get, because it's all DNA ties, all of a sudden you inherit some memories from the person, your parents.
Isn't that incredible? They haven't figured that one out.
Not that I know of. It'd be a good study, though.
Are you sure would? There's your next book. There's your next book.
Yes.
Yes, I like that idea. Actually, you are writing another book. What is it on?
This one is more history. It's on the life, birth, actually, and death practices of colonial New England.
Life and death.
Well, yeah, birth and death.
Because life is a circle.
Yeah, and it's amazing because it's called Cradle to Crypt, or Cradle and Crypt, and it's because the birth practices were just totally different from what we have today.
What were they like?
Well, in one case, when the baby was, first of all, the wife, mother-to-be would say, oh, she's pregnant, okay, she's going to have a baby. She'd stop making beer.
What?
Yeah, she'd stop making beer.
Was it an urge? No, was it an urge?
Yeah, no, they called it groaning beer. And what would happen is, at the time when she was ready to deliver, the beer would obviously be ready, hopefully 9 months. She would drink some, the midwives would drink some, and of course the husband probably had more than his share. And, and this was to kind of calm everybody down because childbirth was very dangerous.
Back then?
Back then, yes. And this is like from 1620 to 1820, I'm chronicling.
1610, okay.
So, and so what they did is they had that, and it kind of calmed them down, and maybe it helped, it was like an anesthetic,
right,
kind
so
of, sort of.
them.
So they're a little more relaxed, and then when the baby was born, they'd wash the baby in the beer.
And what did that do?
It was supposed to cleanse them and make them, well, I'm sure it did, no.
Well,
and then within days, and I'm talking like, let's say you were born in July, you're lucky, but if you were born on like February 4th,
right.
within days of your birth, you'd be shuttled off to the meeting house to be baptized, and you had no heat. they didn't have any heat.
Right.
So sometimes they'd be chipping away at the ice to baptize this baby, which some actually, in some cases, they love to dip the baby in.
In the
and now
ice.
you've got a newborn, 2 days, 3 days old, maybe, being shuttled off in the middle of 10 below zero. So sometimes they succumb to that. And that was a couple of the childbirth practices.
So you're going to chronicle a bunch of different ones that how do you research that?
I am the same way I research everything. I try to look through diaries and personal artifacts, interview people who might know historians, go to different libraries and historical societies. I have a library of about 1,500 books on New England.
Oh, I would love to
history and
come to your
everything.
house. I'm a history.
Oh, I am.
Oh gosh, yes.
And so I research all that. And the one thing I'd like to do too is I like to be face to face with the stuff. I don't like going on the internet, and I got to see it. So we go out to different areas. Like we're going to Plymouth at one point. We just came back from Vermont a few weeks ago, looking to see what we could find up there, of anything. And we look for like different old graveyards and cemeteries. They tell a lot on the stones.
So when you walk in, do you feel something or do you look around? Because I love old cemeteries. It's something that I've always, we used to take the kids rubbing.
Yes.
They used to do the,
We
right?
have collections of grave rubbings.
Oh, gosh, I love that. I love that. I just want to say that there are 11 books. You can get them online. Your name is Thomas D'Agostino, last name capital D. Go ahead.
Apostrophe capital A.
Okay, there you go.
G-O-S-T-I-N-O.
Great.
But TomD'Agostino.com is my website. That's an easy one.
Yeah, can't screw that one up.
Yeah, well, I can't anyway. If I do, I got a problem.
And if anybody wants to call you or write to you or find out if they've got a haunting or something in their home that they need you to come and investigate, the phone number for you is?
It's on the website. It's 401-374
Right.
0541, and we've never charged for an investigation or anything. I never have done that. I don't know anyone who does, but we've done, for 33 years, I've done them for absolutely no charge.
Really?
Yeah.
And you've given peace and mind to?
Countless people.
Countless people.
Countless
And do they
people.
stay usually in their homes? Do you exorcise the ghosts, the spirits out of them? They just want to know.
Only if they got like an elliptical or something, they'll
Okay.
exercise them. No, no. Well, and there's a thing, that exercising only in a case where people get really freaked out over it. I have friends who are like priests and things like that, and they'll come in, demonologists, and they'll come in with me and they'll help do it, because that kind of idea, having a priest, gives the person of the home feels more empowered to have an ordained. I mean, my wife's ordained for the Unitarian Church, and I'm ordained a priest of the Wiccan. But there's a lot of people like Catholic
Tom, you do
priests.
way too much. I just want to say thank you, though,
Oh, thank you.
because we've run out of time.
Oh.
And I'd love to have you back.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I would love to.
So thank you again for joining us on Talent Time. I am Sharon Z. If you want to reach me, talenttimesharon@gmail.com. Please write into me. Write into me and let me know your feelings, what you'd like to see. If you liked it, I'll take any email and I'll even answer you. So thank you very much. Thank you, Thomas.
Tell me not to live, just sit and putter. Life's candy and the sun's a ball of butter. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. Don't tell me not to fly.